Hey, Mahal everyone! Welcome back again to the Broadway Saiyan YouTube channel. I'm your host 40 and we are back with another video on the Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia mobile game. In today's video, we're going to be going over the current multiplayer quests that are available to us for the global version of this game, as well as some tips that I want to provide you guys based on my experience from playing the multiplayer quest, to hopefully help you guys out and, and moving forward and how to approach the multiplayer quest. Now, as you guys all know, on my Twitch streams, I do host multiplayer almost the entire stream. So if you guys want to play and get some multiplayer in, be sure to check out my Twitch stream, so then that way we can get some really awesome multiplayer together. I don't mind spending gems for that, even if we happen to need to continue and things like that. I just want to have fun. Anyways, let's go ahead and get right into this video. So, the first thing that I want to do is just kind of give you guys a little bit of a tip in regards to how to play multiplayer with your friends. So the way that the Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia multiplayer works is that in order to play with your friends, you have to be following each other, okay? So, for example, if I go right here, right, this character here, or this player here named Zenny, Zenny is following me, but I'm not following him. So if I wanted to try to invite Zenny to multiplayer, we wouldn't be able to because it wouldn't. We're not following each other. But all I have to do is click follow, yes, and boom, there we go. And then what's gonna happen is that Zenny is gonna pop up into my friends list. I'm gonna go ahead and update that. And it'll update, and let's see if we can find Zenny. And there he is. So now, whenever I want to do a multiplayer, Zenny will be able to get that invite. And also, the way you can tell if you've been invited to a multiplayer by your friends is that little sword, the little triple sword icon near your name on the very upper left. That's going to start blinking. So what you're going to do is you're going to click on that. And that's going to be bringing up your friends list. Give it a little bit of a moment here. And then what's going to happen is on that little box where the Moogles that says online, that's going to have a little box that says like 1 out of 3 or 2 out of 3, because you can only have up to 3 people, including the host, for multiplayer. So you click on that and then you try to join the room for the multiplayer. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the multiplayer that's available. So we have 2 that's available to us right now. We have the Behemoth Encounter, and we have the Unpleasant Odors. So take a little bit of a look at that. So these are the requirements right here to get all of the missions. Now, keep in mind, in order to get the mission goals, you have to be the host. Okay, if you're a guest to another multiplayer, you cannot get the goals, the mission rewards yourself. You have to be the host of the multiplayer. And then there's the score target, and then there's the enemies that you fight. So the first 2 battles for both of them are fairly straightforward. For the Behemoth one, the only one that you really got to be worried for is this Iron Giant. So the Iron Giant likes to give himself haste, so he takes his turns more frequently. So just something to keep in mind, but he's not too difficult. And then the second stage is generally like a mob. For example, this one's just a mob of wolves. They're not too hard to defeat. You just got to hit them with a brave attack, and then afterwards an HP attack, because they do have low HP. Then afterwards, we're going to be go ahead and taking a look at Unpleasant Odors. Again, there are the mission rewards right there, the score, and then the enemies. So the enemies for this one, they either fly or they're resistant to physical attack. So you want to take some characters with you that have either a ranged physical attack or a magic attack, especially against these ghosts. So these ghosts are vulnerable to magic, so you want to keep that in mind. Okay. Alright, so now that we went ahead and went over that, I'm going to go over the more detailed tips for this, particularly targeting the bosses for these 2 multiplayer events. So we're going to go ahead and shift scenes here. Alright, okay, so we're going to first go over the GAIA Behemoth boss. So the GAIA Behemoth boss has 3 abilities you want to be aware of. The first one is Stone. Stone deals brave damage to a target, and it also lowers their turn rate. So it's kind of similar to Ishtola's brave ability, Stone, where she delays a turn, except now the Behemoth is using it on your party. So just keep that in mind. Earthshaker is like his big attack. What he'll do is he lowers everybody in the party's brave to 25%, and then afterwards, he adds that brave to himself. And he starts doing this at the second half of the battle, or the 50% HP mark of his HP. So just keep that in mind. That's like his big attack. And then finally, Heave is his HP attack that he'll choose a target, and then he'll dish all of the brave that he has stored to that target. So you want to be careful of that. Some key things to note is that the Gaia Behemoth is weak to fire. He's resistant to earth. He has no other noted resistances, so he's vulnerable to every debuff and status ailment out there. The recommended character level that I would definitely recommend for this particular multiplayer is 25 and up. And then you want to shoot for an HP of 2700 and up, and then your max brave should be around 2500 and up. So those are my recommendations on that particular multiplayer boss. Now moving forward, we're going to take a look at the Great Malboro. So the Great Malboro has 3 different attacks that you want to be aware of. The first one is Bad Breath, where Bad Breath inflicts 3 types of debuffs onto the party. Then there's Really Bad Breath, which inflicts 5 types of debuffs on the party. And then afterwards, he has something called Tentacle Slap, where he targets somebody, and then he hits you with a 3-hit Brave attack. Great Malboro is weak to fire, just like the Gaia Behemoth. However, Great Malboro does resist all other elements, so keep that in mind. He does not resist any other debuffs or status ailments, so that's another thing to keep note of. The recommended character level is level 30 up. And then the recommended HP for this one is at least 3000, and your max brave should at least also be 3000 and up. All right, let's go ahead and move forward here. So now we're going to go ahead and cover what I feel are recommended characters that you should be bringing into these multiplayers, okay? So the first one is Warrior of Light. As we all know, Warrior of Light is an amazing tank. His Shine Shield protects units from Brave attacks and also potential Brave breaks. So you can kind of strategize based on who's being targeted. And if, let's say, your ally, like let's say Cloud, you have a Cloud that uses Cross Slash, right? And Cross Slash ends with that HP attack, and he depletes all of his Brave. And let's say the following turn he's about to be targeted by an enemy, just throw Shine Shield on him and you'll protect him from a Brave break. And then if you happen to unlock Throw Buckler, it's also very useful because he can draw aggro away from a unit to himself, so he can have the enemy's target himself for 5 turns. The next character I'll recommend is, of course, Mr. Cloud Strife himself. He is a high DPS unit, and as we all know, he is a stun locker with his Cross Slash. And if you unlock his second ability, which is Finishing Touch, and you time it properly, he initiates a chase for a potential massive chain damage. So the best way to use this is if you're paying attention to the turn order, which in multiplayer, it's really recommended that you really look at the turn order. If you notice that if you're Cloud, right, and then the next turns is going to be your allies, and you have Finishing Touch available, go ahead and aim for Finishing Touch because it's going to initiate that chase sequence, and you can either dish out a massive amount of Brave damage or a mixture of Brave and HP damage, or just straight up HP damage, okay? So it's a very good ability to have on Cloud if you unlocked it. The next one is Vaughn. He is just massive DPS from either Red Spiral or White Whirl, and honestly, even without his Platinum Sword weapon, he still dishes out a lot of damage. And then, as we all know, Red Spiral and White Whirl are further buffed after their second usage, so they up the amount of hits that they deal, and Red Spiral gains an Ice element, and then White Whirl gains a Holy element after the second usage. Okay, some more characters that we want to go over is Terra. So I want to give a shout out to one of my Twitch followers, Sammy Fury. He showed me that Terra is actually quite good in multiplayer. So she does like massive magic DPS after her 2 different chants, which is Meltdown and Meteor Chant. She also acts as a Brave battery to herself with her chants, because what she does is she buffs up her Brave so before actually when she uses that chant. So if she's in danger of being Brave broken because of her low Brave, you can actually use this chant as an opportunity to gain some Brave back. So she kind of self-sustains her Brave for herself. The next one, I haven't really seen this unit used much, but when I do see him used, which is Furion, he's actually quite good. So his Blood Weapon ability deals both Brave and HP damage, and what's cool about it is that he heals his own HP, so he self-sustains his HP, so he makes himself very survivable. So think of him as a high damage tanky DPS unit. So he's another great unit to be using. The next one is one of my personal favorites, which is Ida. Ida has Snap Punch, which is a multi 5-hit Brave attack and finishes with a very powerful HP attack. And on top of that, she also buffs herself after using it to her speed and to her attack. And then her second ability, if you happen to unlock it, is Touch of Death. It's another useful alternative Brave attack instead of just using her normal Brave attack, because it applies poison to the target, and Touch of Death is a long range brave attack. So let's say, I believe it's the Great MALBORO stage where there's that floating eye, or the first enemy, which is the zoo. They're considered flying enemies, so this is actually useful against those enemies because they won't resist it, because it's considered a long-range attack. Alright, let's see who we have up here next. And yes, we have Vivi. So the reason why I recommend Vivi is because both Gaia Behemoth and Great MALBORO are weak to fire. And Vivi's Brave special ability deals fire magic damage to Brave with a Brave attack. And then his second ability, Focus, temporarily increases his max Brave and attack, allowing for more Brave and HP damage. So he's great to have because he already has that fire element built within him. For one of its abilities. Next unit is Zidane. Stellar Circle 5 ability is great, again, for its multi-Brave hit, and it also has the potential to potentially Brave break an enemy because it does deal multiple hits. He also has a chance to lower the enemy's speed, and he also grants himself with a speed buff and a small Brave buff. The next character I recommend for these multiplayers is Bartz. Because multiple usage of Double Hand makes him a great single-hit Brave breaker, and as he also increases his own Brave for 5 actions. And if you happen to unlock Magic Missile, which is his second ability, it's amazing because what it is that he lowers the enemy's Brave by a specific percentage. I believe the initial one is 25%, and then he unleashes a Brave attack. So it allows for a potential Brave break because he's lowering it by a percentage first, and then he hits him with a Brave attack. So he's very useful to use too. Alright, let's go ahead and continue moving forward. And the next ones that we have here is Ishtola, is because she is a great Brave battery for the party with Medica 2. So, pretty cool if your entire party's running out of Brave and you want to give them some more, or you want to make sure that they don't suffer a Brave break. Use Ishtola to bring the entire party's Brave up. And then her Stone ability, again, she deals a Brave attack and then it delays an enemy's turn. Okay, and now these last two characters, I highlighted them because these two are in particular very useful for the Great MALBORO stage. So the first one is one that I actually play tested last night on my Twitch stream, which is Yuffie. So Yuffie, I feel like, is very underrated, and I think she's incredible for this particular multiplayer. Her Snatch ability, first of all, adds the target's current Brave to her own before she deals a Brave attack. So whatever the target's Brave is, she's going to add it to her own Brave, and then she deals a Brave attack. So think of her as another self-sustainer to her Brave, because let's say, like, she doesn't have any Brave because you just use an HP attack with her, right? And then it's her turn. You can snatch that target's Brave, add it to your own, and then deal a Brave attack. So she saves herself from a potential Brave break. And then the awesome ability that she has, which is her secondary ability, which if you're going to be using Yuffie for this multiplayer, you have to have this, is Rebuff. So Rebuff is really, really cool because, so if you get hit with a status ailment or a debuff, right, with Rebuff, Yuffie will just throw it right back to the enemy. So she removes it from herself and throws it right back. And it was really, really cool last night during my stream to see really bad breath being inflicted on the party, and then just seeing my Yuffie just toss it right back to the Great MALBORO. And because the Great MALBORO doesn't resist any status ailments or debuffs, it pretty much makes that boss fight like cakewalk, because he can hardly hit the party because of blind, and then like he's taking like poison tick and all of these other different status ailments. So it's a great way to make that Great MALBORO pay back. And the last unit, which I specifically recommend for Great MALBORO, is Yuna, because Yuna has Esuna. So Esuna removes all the debuffs and adds 120% of her initial Brave to the party. So she also acts as a Brave battery, and she also removes those status ailments. Now the last tips I'm going to be moving forward with is the recommended summons that you should be bringing for these two multiplayer events. So the first one is Ifrit, because Ifrit is a fire elemental summon, and both of these bosses are weak to fire. Ifrit also buffs the attack power for the party whenever your HP is at max, and he deals fire magical Brave damage to an enemy, and he grants the party the fire attribute for their attacks, and he also adds a 1000 Brave increase. Okay, and the second summon that I do recommend is Sylph, because Sylph provides a heal to both Brave and HP, so she helps with survivability. Alright guys, well that is going to be it for the video on my tips for multiplayer. If you have tips of your own that you would like to share, please leave them in the comment section below. Or if you felt like I missed something key in regards to these multiplayers, or like if you have a character that I didn't mention that you feel like, hey, Broadway's saying, I think this character would be really good too because I was trying them out, you know, let me know in the comment section below. I want to know what you guys think. Alright guys, well thank you for watching this video. I surely hope it helped you guys out. Stay tuned for the next one. I am the Broadway Saiyan. My name is 40. Mahal everyone.